Greetings, greetings, greetings. You're now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian own, nothing control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. This is the vault, episode 742, special edition. This is the after action review of a wealth conference 2026. Really excited to do this episode. This was a very, very impactful conference. We have trustees that have invested in us for years to attend the conferences for their families. So we give a big praise and big thanks and big shout out to all the families that invested in the Vault Trust Christian, making it a point to make sure we were there, make sure we were in a room, make sure we were representing their families. People say, "Oh man, Trust Christian, well, what is it like? What is it like?" We're gonna get there. In this particular episode, we always want to give thanks to the families that made it a point to sponsor us to make sure we were there. So we just want to go ahead and do an episode about it, or at least on the public side. Talk about what we got out of it, and give some inspiration for individuals that want to be in the rooms. I want to be at the Wealthy Conference, but I'm not going to go. Okay. So we're going to just go ahead and hop into it. We went to a Wealthy Conference, started on middle of the week, or top of the week, like Tuesday. Went till Thursday. They even did a Friday breakfast. And so we just want to let individuals know that, people say, "Oh man, Trust Christian, do I gotta go to a Wealthy Conference?" We found out about this Wealthy Conference. We were at the conference this year, and we knew this company's like $1 billion firm. But as we were sitting there this time, we were really sitting there because we're sitting at a table with people that have like $30 million. Like, when you sit at a table with somebody that has $30 million, depending on your mindset, you might think like it's a lot, but when you're sitting next to somebody at the table that's just, they're managing 30 million, and then the firm is managing $1 billion, 20 billion, 30 billion, there's a big difference. So we were just so impressed by that alone. It was just like you're sitting at the table with people that are managing $30 million. Not even a lot of money compared to $1 billion. Like, it's just not. And they're managing 30 million. Like, it's like, oh yeah, I got this. I'm managing 30 million. And it was just so much to take away from the conference. You go into the conference, you're like, oh man, I got so much to do. There's so many people at the conference. Sometimes, you'll see anywhere from 300 to 500, 800 families, maybe. You're talking about 1% stuff now. You're talking about billions. You're obviously talking about 1%. You're talking about over 30 million. You're talking about 1%. Top 5% of the population in the United States. So you're already in rarefied air. You're going to run into your professional athletes, your professional money managers. These guys generate millions of dollars in bonuses every year, let alone in their annual salary. So you go into the conferences, it's just like, oh man, just people say, oh man, look where I'm at, Trust Christian, I'm trying to get started on my wealth building process. And that's fine and dandy. But the thing about it is that you have to go in the room. And if you don't go in the room, you'll never get it. You'll never taste it, you'll never touch it, you'll never find out. So that's like one of the first things we want to just say we're proud of, is just showing up. A lot of people underestimate showing up. They think like, oh, I can shortcut it, or I don't have to show up. But you have to show up. You have to go into the room. You have to meet the people that you might think that you're intimidated by, because you'd be surprised. They're just regular people. They just are like really dedicated to their work, dedicated towards generating a lot of money and being savage in the financial sector to a degree, or even savage in being the best at whatever they're doing. And we'll get to that at one point in this episode, which is, you come to find out that a lot of successful people are very multidisciplinary or multi-domain experts. So it means that they're focused on having multiple domains in their life that they're actually like really, really good at and expert in. And that was something we actually just had a board meeting about it. One of the board is like, hey, board members like, hey, Trust Christian, you just want to make sure you're doing whatever you're doing is your passion. What is your expertise? It sounds like this is what you're great at, so you should stick to that. And sure, you can have multiple domains of expertise. So out of this conference, we were able to observe as we do every year. It would be learning as you do every year. And of course, it was a great conference. You get to double down on the most important thing that people somehow think that they're going to shortcut on, which is their relationship. You can't shortcut their relationship. You got to show up. People got to see you. They got to see your face. They got to, you over here asking for millions of dollars. How you going to ask for millions of dollars? You don't even show your face. You got to show your face. But bottom line, you got to show up. You got to shake a hand. You got to be willing to look vulnerable, just like they look vulnerable. They going to be vulnerable giving you the money. So you gotta be vulnerable showing up. Like, look, I'm always gonna show up, and I'm gonna show up clean. I'm gonna show up with the right attitude. I'm gonna show up. That's the biggest thing. People try and get around that part. It's like, nah, you're not gonna get around it. You just bottom line. You might think that, but the longer somebody sees your face, the longer somebody knows that you could be trustworthy. That's just bottom line. Somebody say, "Oh, trust Christian, I don't trust that." Then that's fine. But from what we could see, you gotta show up with your face card, your handshake, your being in the rooms. We talked about this for years, but it's just doubling down on this point once again. A lot of people don't understand, and so we're just gonna hop into like something that actually is like a pendulum or a pet peeve of ours, because it's the reality, ladies and gentlemen. Like, I don't have to trust Christians sitting in a room, sitting there looking at everybody. It's like, okay, we see this. It's not a passing of the judgment. First of all, when you go to a wealthy environment, they have a dress code, ladies and gentlemen. It's always a dress code, ladies and gentlemen. Everything has a dress code. It's a dress code. It's a dress code. You showing up. But are you going to show up with the dress code? You think you could cut a corner with the dress code? We're going to go ahead and set the table for the room. We're going to go ahead and set the table for the environment. The environment already set the dress code. They said don't come in with sneakers on. Oh, Trust Christian, but, Trust Christian, my feet feel good. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, we sit in the room where the CEO and the founder of the organization that's managing billions of dollars has organized an event and said, please don't wear sneakers, and you still don't care, then you understand why you are in the position that you're in. There's no old Trust Christian, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm rich, I'm wealthy, I already got it, and I'm gonna wear sneakers. That's fine. But the environments that we were trained in, they told us that you basically wanna mirror and match the audience. If you're asking somebody that has billions of dollars and you don't want to match their clothing, ask. They asked too. They didn't say you had to, because you clearly came in there with sneakers on still. They asked to have a business event attire. It's just bottom line. But oh no, certain people think they can come in a room with sneakers on, and that's on them. But we're giving you all the heads up, so you think you come in the room, oh man, oh Trust Christian, I'm gonna come in the room and I'm gonna wear sneakers. What do you? We don't care if they're designer sneakers. It doesn't matter. The firm said come in with business attire. They asked for the button-up shirt. There's guys wearing blue shirts. There's guys wearing pink shirts, but they're business shirts. It's business. It ain't personal. That's the first. Oh man, Trust Christian, I'm gonna come in the environment, but we giving y'all the test. Not that it's not Trust Christian test. It's the test of the environment that you're in. They're testing you. You don't know that. They're testing you. You asking a billionaire to give you some money, a firm to give you some money to build a relationship, and you're not wearing the environment's uniform. So we giving people the heads up. Like, oh, Trust Christian, I want to be in there. How you gonna want to be in there but you're not showing up with the uniform? And these are guys that are professional athletes. Oh man, oh man, I could just, wear sneakers. Well, okay, at the same time, it's not athletics, it's business. You said you put that down. You say you're focused on business. That's the business attire. Business shoes, button down shirts, sport jackets. The women know what to wear. They understand that. But do you understand that? Do you understand that you say, oh, I don't want to be known as an athlete. I don't want to be known as this, that, or everything. I want to be known as somebody that people can rely on in business. Are you wearing the business uniform? Did you look like you were going to be a good manager, a good steward? That's just bottom line. That's one thing we have to throw out there because we see it. People think, oh, I made millions of dollars being an athlete or entertainer. Okay, you're in the room with. We sat at the table. Once again, we sat at the table. Somebody got $30 million. This man got a suit on. What you think? You think he cares? He doesn't care. He actually still has 30 million. You blew through 30 million. You hear the difference? See, the athletes want to come in the room and say, "Oh yeah, trust Christian. I did something with my life. I'm on a video game. Yeah, you're on a video game. This individual's not even on a video game and got $30 million under management right now. And they're thinking about being on no video game. Thinking about having his house paid off. He's thinking about having his car paid off. He's thinking about being able to travel when he wants. He's already over 50. He's pretty much trying to gracefully do something that he enjoys. What are you doing? Are you doing something you gracefully enjoy? Or are you feel like you gotta beg for money? Oh, I gotta beg for money here. No, you don't. You don't have to beg for money. But you definitely gotta dress the part. They don't want to hear that though. You gotta dress the part. We're gonna go ahead and throw it out there. Why? Because the money's not gonna tell you that. Why would the money did tell you that? They told you that in the email before the event. It's a business event. Wear business attire. We ain't harping on it, but don't think that the environment is not looking at you as if you went to a basketball game wearing football stuff, and if you went to a football game wearing basketball stuff. You're out of place. You're not wearing a uniform. Trust Christian, that's what you learned? Definitely. Because people don't want to hear that. Like, oh man, trust Christian, that's what's going on. Look, you think that they would? If it wasn't important, they wouldn't have put it in the email and said, this is what we prefer for people to wear to our events if we're going to give you money. So that's the first thing you want to make sure you walking in the room looking the part. Trust Christian, we always wear business attire. It's a business environment. We know we're not going to a basketball game. We're not going to a sporting event. You're not going to a family reunion. You're going to a business event. It's a wealthy event. It's a wealth conference. What you think you're going to do? You're going to wear business attire. So you wear your business attire. Okay, after you get in the room, people go in the room and say, oh, Trust Christian, how do I do this? I don't know what to say. First of all, we're just going to go ahead and say it. You definitely got to practice before you go in the room. We talk to people there. You got to make sure you have a why. Why are you even like going in the room? People talk about generational wealth. How you talking about generational wealth if you ain't talking about no millions? What are you talking about? Generational wealth is passing along what? Liabilities instead of assets? So of course, if you're talking about millions, you got a vision, you got a dream. One of the things we always say, we'll point out in this episode, it is what it is, because we already know most people ain't gonna get it, and it's just the reality. First of all, when you go into the environment with wealthy people want to know when they gonna get their money back. That's just bottom line. You say, "Oh man, Trust Christian, give us the rules to the game. How's the wealthy environment look? How do I go get their money as opposed to going to get the bank's money? Talking about I need a personal guarantee." Well, if you want to get wealthy money backing you, I would say right now, for sure, you gotta make it a point to have something that you can sell to them. You gotta make it a point to sell something something that they could hold, and they'll just buy it off you. Build to sell, build to sell, build to sell. It's not a hard concept, but it's not everybody concept. Well, most everybody's not going to be able to sell something. Everybody wants to sell a product and want to sell a service, but they're not going to sell a business. And when you get into wealthy environments, most wealthy people have sold businesses. That's why they're in positions to be able to be venture capitalists, be angel investors, to be private equity. They're able to be capital. They can give you money because they've sold things before themselves. So they understand the nature of selling, they understand the nature of buying, and everybody's developing various different skill sets. So as we move forward in the environments, definitely say, oh, Trust Christian, how do I get the money? First of all, if you cannot sit in front of an investor and tell an investor financial relationship how they're going to get their money back, whether that's through a business plan or executive summary, you're wasting your time. You have to be able to tell them how they're gonna get their money back. You have to be able to tell them their rate of return. You have to be able to tell them the time frame in which they're gonna be able to get the money back. It's just the bottom line. What's your path to exit? A lot of people, we sat there and we talked to them whether the wealthy families already got paths, but the ones that don't, they don't have paths. Just bottom line. You have to have a path. You have to have cap. You have to have a strategy. That's one thing that we learned. You have to have a strategy. You may not have to be the smartest person in the room, but you have to have a strategy. You have to have an exit. If you don't have an exit, hey, people talking about that multifamily investment stuff. Oh, I'm a multifamily investor. I'm investing in multifamily. Well, sure, we sat in a room once again, 30 million, whatever, more than that. Okay, sure. You think somebody about to give you their own personal private money that they built, wealth-wise, generational wealth? They still have it. Anything about to give it to you, and you don't have the ability to show them their money, what the return is going to be before they even like give you the money, before they even consider it. These are the things we talking about. You want to practice having a conversation in your head about, or just be prepared to have a conversation about, because that is the case. What is your return? And that's another thing. And that's another thing. When you go in a room, it's not even about pitching what you have. A lot of times, just really going in a room, finding out what can I sell, what can I provide a service to wealthy people for. Why? Because you at least know they got the money to pay you. So you're sitting there, okay, well, make sure that they got. What are you looking right now? What are you investing in? We sat in the room. We know what people are investing in. We know what they're investing in. We know what they're investing in. You gotta know what wealthy people are investing in, so you could either manage it, invest it for them. You know, people with foundations. You see people with foundations. They may think that they could skip out on it. We're gonna go there. Just jump into it a lot faster. Oh, Trust Christian, man. You know I got a charity. I got a foundation. So why wouldn't you go into the wealthy conference? Why wouldn't you go to the wealthy conference and say, this is what I'm raising capital for? I'm raising capital for charity. They got charities. Other wealthy families got charities. Oh man, you don't think you still need to go in the room? Everybody want to talk about they got charity, but did you go in the room with the wealthy families talking about this is my charity? Nope. And that's the thing about it. We see so many people not have a direction on going in the room and asking for what they need to ask for. I got a charity, Trust Christian. So why would you not go in the room with the wealthy families? Because you don't have a real clear ask on what you're looking for money wise to end the cause. Because if you did, you have your Peter Cottontail and they're not thinking about, oh man, how I'm gonna fund this project, how I'm gonna fund that project. Yeah, you don't need anything about funding because there's excess amounts of capital out there. It's not a lack of money, it's more of a lack of good deals, lack of good projects, lack of good operators. They're always looking for good operators. I mean, we could sit here and talk for hours about what we learned from the conference because it's not one thing. It's so much to learn from a wealthy conference. Oh, Trust Christian, I want to read it in the book. That's all it is. It's a shortcut. I'm trying to read it in a book. You trying to read how to deal with other wealthy families in a book? There is no shortcut. There is no shortcut. You have to be in the room. You're living in person right now. Think what they call it. I think they even call it in person. What is it? IP? Something like that. These are real things. We're just giving out a heads up. Individuals say, "Oh man, George Christian on the public side, man, I gotta get my money right." First of all, the conference wasn't even more than $1,000. That's how y'all. Oh, George Christian, how much does it cost for my private education? It wasn't even $1,000. So what are you talking about? People spend thousands of dollars on college, but you're not gonna spend thousands of dollars on your private networking relationships. It was in the States. So you didn't have to. It's not international flights, even though definitely recommend. A lot of people say, "Oh man, I'm going on vacation. It's an international spot," but you didn't go and meet the lawyers in that area. You didn't go meet wealthy families in the area. That's what you got to do. Okay, there are wealthy lawyers, wealthy accountants. Say, "Oh man, what's wealthy?" Clearly, you can see you talking to somebody sitting at the table that's got $30 million. That's under management. That's just one individual at one table. Now you know what wealth looks like. It's congregated. It's together. It's in a room together. It's not one. It was just a beautiful conference. We really appreciate the relationships. One of the things you think about, even just immediately hit us right after the conference, was, man, wealthy, not even wealthy people, just successful people don't look at failure the same way as people that are not wealthy or unsuccessful look at it. We sat in a room today. We sat in a room with individuals that are successful at athletics just as well as business, and they understand the importance of failure, pushing yourself to failure, pushing yourself past failure, and pushing yourself past the temporary will be considered not just setbacks but temporary speed bumps in your overall path to success. Pushing through those moments. That was something that was really eloquent, because you know you get so many people that would just not, they just stop taking the risk. And when you stop taking risk, that's when you stop being successful. So a lot of people don't want to hear that. They're just like, "Oh man, I'm gonna have to figure this out the safest route." You hear so many unsuccessful people say, "I'm trying to maintain my peace." And we didn't hear any, that word didn't come up the whole time. But some people might say, how is it not peaceful?" It was security, minimal security, with all the money in the room, just a great room. People are happy, people, smiling, they, saying hi when you walk by them. There's no hostility. How's that not a peaceful environment? It is a peaceful environment. It didn't have to be stated out loud, "Oh, I need my peace." No, it's a peaceful environment. And so unsuccessful people always want to tell you how much peaceful they want to be. We sat in a room with other people, ain't nobody talking about peace. Some people talk, sure, it's just real talk. It might be a hard thing to hear, but we telling y'all the straight up truth. It ain't, you got to protect your peace. It's just peaceful already. But the focus is understanding. Okay, yeah, why would it be talking about peace when you got to go through the failures? You got to be willing to take the risk. That's something that we've seen and we saw, and we just say, okay, we got to double down on the failure rate. That's one of the things that might be a pill that you have to grasp, but you're going to have to grasp it, which is you have to really lean into the failure rate. It comes off as, "Oh man, Judge Christian, I don't want to fail, man. I don't want to lose, man. I don't want to lose anything." But you don't want to know. Even MJ said it. In order to understand winning, you got to lose. And that's not a loss, meaning that you literally lose something or in general, but it definitely has to be an absorption for failure. An absorption, ladies and gentlemen. And it's an absorption. And that could be a big deal for some people. Some people might never lean into that, and that's why they're not going to be in the wealthy room. It's just bottom line. But if people understand that, some of the ones, I mean, it's going to be only a 1 or 2%. Anyways, it's going to crash that. But it's got to be a high rate of failure, no doubt about it. And that's something that we sat there and we saw. And we was just like, man, is it really that's the case? Sure, we're all becoming. We're all becoming. But it's definitely got to be a high rate of failure rate to become. And that could be a very uncomfortable thing. That's not a peaceful thing. How's that peaceful? We could say it's peaceful, but that's just in the mind. Once again, sure, we're talking about now persisting through the moments of what people call uncertainty. We're sitting in a room with wealthy people. Wealthy people admit it's uncertainty in the marketplace. It's uncertainty in the marketplace. Well, okay. How is it? How is that peaceful when it's uncertain? It's not. It's an uncertain place. You're looking for where can we get the dislocation? Where can we take advantage of the uncertainty? That's the mindset. Not, oh man, it's uncertain, scared and fearful. No, it's uncertain meaning we want to find out where the opportunities are. Optimistic. We're all becoming. That's one thing that we realized even in that event. We're all getting better. Always getting better. One of the things we wanted to point out, we just think about it right now. The founders of the organization are 70 years old. Now, whether you think you're gonna make it to 70, uh, first of all, the fact that this individual is 70 years old and moving the way they're moving and running an organization, you think about that. You say you're gonna be wealthy. What are you gonna be doing at 70? Are you gonna be still moving around, impacting people, being an inspiration? Because this individual is definitely an inspiration at this point. It's just like, dang, this individual, 70 years old, on Earth years. Most people might be ragtag at 70. This individual is alive and well. Now, we're not saying they some Superman working, buffing it up, but at the same time, we even met their personal trainer. We just like, man, I mean, granted, you might have a personal trainer at 70, but that's the point. You might have a personal trainer at 70. So you're going to be alive and well and kicking. That's the point. Alive and well and kicking. What are you going to be doing at 70? Supposed to be wealthy. Well, we've seen what wealth look like at 70. And there's a way to do it, and there's a way not to do it. And ladies and gentlemen, we encourage you all to lean into what you know you got to do for your family, for your legacy, for yourself. That does mean taking some risk. That does mean getting out your comfort zone. That means you doubling down on doing the things that you think you might have to do. And every minute and every second of your day, those things are going to be for you. People talk about wealth. We hear them talk about wealth. Oh, I'm wealthy and focused on being wealthy. We know what wealthy is and what wealthy does. And it congregates together. We were definitely thankful for the opportunity to be in the room once again. It was exciting. It was fun. You just see these are your new friends. And you got to really be focused on, okay, if these are going to be my friends, I got to make sure I'm being myself. And that's the one thing I love about the wealthy environment. Every wealthy environment I've ever been in always said, be yourself, Trust Christian. And you may say, oh man, I'm from the ghetto. That's the part you got to let go of. What do you mean? You're a ghetto person? You can't let go of the ghetto because you're a ghetto person? If you're not a ghetto person, then don't be ghetto. Be yourself. Is your self ghetto? This is the reality of life. Oh man, Trust Christian, I'm myself. Okay, well, be yourself. And when you're in a wealthy environment, be yourself. Build friendships, build relationships. Talk to people like you're going to see them again. Talk to them like you're looking to build a relationship. And it's not just, oh yeah, transactional. We've seen people from stage talk about that. Some of the athletes talked about, oh, I'm just here to build relationships. Nah, when you get on stage, now you got to talk about your pitch because you have the opportunity to pitch now. You got to pitch. That's the one thing we know for sure. Every time you get in front of a wealthy person, you're pitching. That's why you got to practice. You got to practice the conversation. What am I going to say to this person? What am I not going to say to this person? How am I going to, what am I asking them what they need, or am I just being selfish, talking about what I need? Am I going to find out what they need, find out what they want? That's what it is. Practicing your people skills. We talk about communication. So many people might be uncomfortable talking to wealthier people. And that's like the coolest part. Because, like, if you met these people at the grocery store, I mean, sure, some of them will wear a Cartier watch. They'll wear the Van Cleef. You know, some people want to see the Van Cleef. Um, but for the most part, you know, you ask what's the attire actually look like. Sure, you see, not too, you don't see any designer brands. That's the facts. That's sure, maybe a purse, a woman's purse is a designer purse, but for the most part, you're not seeing people walk around with designer clothes on. It was a business environment. No one needed to step out on anybody and look, stand out on anybody. Oh yeah, we're just wearing a suit, and that's that. You know, women wore business attire, and that's that. Wasn't anything to show up anybody in your clothing and your attire. So sure, some people could have a nice watch on their wrist, Pateks. You got people wearing Rolexes, you know, standard issue watches, $20,000 watch, $30,000 watch. You know, you don't see too many Richard Milles coming in the room. You know, you see a Richard Mill for sure. It's a Richard Mill, sure. If somebody's wealthy, they might have a Richard Mills, $200,000 watch, $100,000 watch, sure. But that's not even, it's just this 1% is the room that we're in. Most people are not wearing Richard Milles. They're keeping it very simple, keeping it very basic in the watch department. You're not trying to show up anybody and watch. Are people wearing nice diamond rings? Definitely. Are the women wearing some heavy duty rings? Definitely. Heavy duty rings, you know, rings that cost a significant amount of money if you really got them appraised and went from there. But other than that, no one's showing up and trying to show anybody out with the attire or the jewelry or anything. It's really just to congregate once again and have a conversation of, you know, how can we all prosper together. And that's the thing. It's like, oh, you see everybody say, oh, I want to build a wealthy community, I want to work with my community. Well, first of all, sometimes you got to step out your own community, whether that's the ghetto or not, and actually get into other rooms and then bring that back to your community, bring structure back to your community, bring wealth and thought process back to your community. So many people try to say, oh, Trust Christian, I'm trying to develop my community. How you going to do that? You don't have a template. And we're going to end on this, just talking about this aspect of it. Look, we're going to go ahead and say this. We get online with trustees all the time. We ask them, who's your role models? At the end of the day, when you're in the wealthy room, there's a model for success. This might be a hard pill to swallow. This might be a hard thing to hear. But if you don't stick to the model, you're not sticking to a duplicatable, predictable pattern. If you are savvy and you understand pattern recognition, you can understand that wealthy is a pattern. It's not a, oh man, he's lucky, she's lucky. If you want to believe it, that's on you. Oh man, I think people that are wealthy are lucky. Sure, we're talking about ones that build from scratch, not the ones that inherited. Let go of the inherited wealth. Sure, that's luck. But outside of inheriting the money, if you're going to put together a wealthy generational wealth system, oh, it's strategic. It's a war plan every single day. There is a strategy in place. There is a script in place. It's a script for your life. It's a script. It's planned out. It's a model. It's a template. Some people might want to deny this. Oh, Trust Christian, I can get around it. Look, we've been around it. We were sitting there thinking about that. You don't want to know. Because if you knew, you would just go find somebody else's script, find their pattern, and just do it. You wouldn't even think twice. But most, they not. They got too much goop in their brain. But what the mentor told us, they got too much baggage. Y'all don't want to hear. You got baggage. You got baggage. What's the baggage? everything that is keeping you away from what you want. Is that the facts? That's the facts. There's no doubt about it. We could look at it. We could see it. If you're not in a wealthy room, that's baggage. Because you got to build the relationships. So how you building a relationship if you're not in the room? That's baggage. Bottom line. So we just encourage people to, they say, oh, trust Christian. What's the fastest way to wealth? What's the fastest way to get this thing done? How do I get this thing done, trust Christian? How do I get this thing done? We gonna go ahead and tell you. I'm gonna put together the trust system. I got all these different trusts and all this other stuff. I got all these different trusts. Okay, but you don't have a system, and you're not around wealthy people. If you're around wealthy people, you got a system, because it's a template that you could see. And the one thing that we could see, and this is the hardest thing for people to realize, man, there is such a template for wealth building. It's simple, and it's like a sport. Okay, you say, oh, what does it look like? It's a sport. So what's the sport? The sport is, there's different teams, right? The different teams are the different industries you can go into to make wealth and generate wealth, right? So you got to pick a team. Once you pick a team, then you have to have a system in that. Your team has to have a system. That's when you have the template for your wealth. Okay, now that you pick the industry, you have to have a template. Okay, and here we go. The sooner you stick to the template of the one that's previously built something in that industry, the sooner you can be wealthy. There's no way around it. You say, oh, trust Christians is that simple? You don't want to know. All you got to do is find someone that's been successful in that and do what they did. Because cycles repeat themselves. History repeats itself. You could do it. But is it going to be done by you? Bottom line. That's what we could see. You got to have a system. You got to have a template. That's one thing we appreciate from sitting in the wealthy room. Understand, the sooner you get to put a system in place that's been already done, the sooner you going to have your system be successful. But how is your system going to be successful if you trying to build it out from the first generation, first scratch? You don't have a template in front of you. That's not true generational wealth. That's winging it. And you can wing it. Obviously, there are people that do that right now, but we're talking about ones that like, man, the ones that build it faster, the ones that build it with easily in the first gen. You just go take somebody else's template. We appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. This was a great episode. We wanted to at least give a quick debrief on what we seen, what we saw at the event, what we know, what we see, because it's not one of those play type things at this point. You know, we've been in the rooms, we've seen AUM double, and we're just like, okay, so did your family's AUM double in the past year, past 2 years, 3 years? Are you generationally wealth doubling? Like really? Are you generationally wealth doubling year from year? Not taking you 25 years, but doing that what would take you 25 years and doing that in 1 year. Like, can we do that, Christian? Trust Christian involved? If you got it, if you got the vision and you got the right mindset, definitely we could see it happen. That's what we talking about, like the template, the system of, oh, can I take 25 years and put it into 1 year? You don't want to know that it's possible, because it's just doubling. Some people are going to take 25 years to double, because that's generational wealth. It's going to take me 25 years to build generational wealth. Okay, so can you take 25 years and put that into 1 year? Does that sound unrealistic? To most people, it sounds unrealistic. When you're in wealthy environments, not at all. It's just utilizing leverage. It's utilizing a superior system. It's utilizing techniques that have already been utilized and just duplicating them. Because success is duplicatable, but wealth is duplicatable. It's a pattern of success. So we're really excited, really thankful, because man, it was just exciting. It's like, man, it's mind blowing. You mind blowing in a way in which our mind isn't even blown. We're just doubling down on, you gotta have it in your heart. At one point, it's gotta be in your heart. Not envying wealthy people. People think, how you gonna be wealthy and you envy other wealthy people? You trying to talk bad about Donald Trump and stuff like that? Nah, you're not gonna be wealthy. When you wealthy, you don't have time to talk negatively about other people. That might be hard for people to hear. So when you on your path to building wealth, you got to stay away from wealthy people that talk negative about gas prices. You got to stay away from people that talk negative about politics. You can't engage in those conversations. You just cannot engage in those conversations. You say, "Oh man, wealthy people, they engage in negative conversations. Wealthy people, they engage in these conversations." Y'all might think that because you're around negative people, but that's not the case. And we're giving you the heads up. If you're around it, you may say, "Oh, trust Christian, that's my last straw. That's the one of the things I know I gotta eliminate." That's exactly true, and we're giving you the heads up to eliminate it. You gotta eliminate the negative conversations, the conversations that superficially you don't know that they're envying wealth, but the thoughts and the conversation is centered around envying wealth. It's around envying other wealthy people. You can't envy other wealthy people. Oh man, he made his money in oil. Oh, she made their family made their money in ammunitions. So what? People making money off of the war. What's that got to do with you? People don't want to hear that though. Oh man, Trust Christian, I can talk about that objectively. Nah, that's still a negative conversation. You can't even engage in it at this point. That's something we know at this point. Like when you see people or you're around people that are talking negatively about politics or people that have money, you already ain't made it because you cannot engage in these type of conversations. You have to engage in conversations that are for productivity and advancement of society and not thinking about somebody else taking advantage of somebody else and somebody else having more money than you or less money than you or any of that. People don't want to hear that though. Oh, okay, well you don't want to hear it, but the reality is there is a dichotomy, quote unquote, and you people may say, "Oh, I could talk negatively about wealthy people, or other people that got money, more money, whatever it is." Not at all. You can't, but people think they can, and they think they're gonna be wealthy, and you can't. You just have to let that go. You have to let that thought go of like, "Dang, I get to talk negative about wealthy people." You don't. You can't. You can't afford it. Let alone, it's just not helpful. It's going to pull you down. So we encourage you all to kind of think about these things that we talked about in this episode: the dress, the speech, it's so much more. Like we could do a part two because it's just so much more. It'll keep coming to us because it was just an incredible event. You're immersed in it. It's like, oh, I'm gonna learn a new language. How you gonna learn a new language? You ain't immersed in it. You gotta go talk to wealthy people to talk the wealthy language. You saying you generational wealth mindset, but you're not having wealthy, engaging conversations. And are you to immerse yourself in it? Well, we appreciate the conversations. It was exciting. Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, that's Christian at trustchristian.com. You want to get consultations, get the mindset. Make sure you structure. Make sure you're organized properly. Make sure that you're becoming more efficient, more effective, more accountable towards your goals and your dreams. Look forward to hearing from you in those things. Peace and joy.